Good morning and welcome back to the channel. In this morning's Celtic FC news, Charlie Nicholas has a dig at Michael Beale over pot stirring. Alistair Johnston brings a Celtic mantra that Josip Juranovic didn't have. Ange Postecoglou was on Everton's shortlist, but he isn't now. And Peter Grant also talks about the headache that Ange Postecoglou has. And then we'll have to talk about our lone boy who's been playing pretty well up in Aberdeen, but last night Aberdeen got kicked out of the Scottish Cup by Darvel. That's just one of the results that I had. And will the media have the frenzy that they did when Celtic got beat by Inverness Cali Thistle back in the day? And then we'll jump over to the comments section as always. So back to the main big story. It's not really a big story. Charlie Nicholas has warned Michael Beale, the Sevco manager, over pot stirring over Celtic's transfer outlay. Now when you look at the actual statistics and you look at the numbers, you know that Celtic actually haven't spent that much money in Ange Postecoglou's time due to the fact that we sell on players, something that the Ibrox club doesn't seem to do on a regular basis. And the fact that the Celtic has had the way that they have run the club over the last as many years now, by buying players in and then selling them on for a massive profit, helps the club advance year on year. Nicholas loves the way that Postecoglou works in the quest to further success at Celtic. Speaking in his column, he said Celtic and Ange Postecoglou look one step ahead just now, both with the Premiership title race and the transfer window dealings. You know, it's just one of those things. Charlie either has a good thing to say about Celtic or bad things. Most of the time it's bad things. Celtic have brought in Alistair Johnston, Iwasa, Kobayashi, and Celtic striker O is on his way to Celtic, with obviously the biggest one that's left the club is Josip Juranovic. So it's basically just Beale just moaning about it, and you know he's making excuses already. You can just see that, and he's basically saying, look, Celtic are buying the titles. There's one of the comments that you'll read, you'll like it, so stick around to the end of the video to make sure that you see the comments from yesterday's video. Alistair Johnston brings a Celtic mantra that Josip Juranovic didn't, and that was game intelligence. There was a lot of times that Josip was obviously caught out. He has obviously went to Union Berlin for 10 million 18 months after arriving in Scotland, but you know, Peter Grant believes that Josip Juranovic might have a promising career in front of him, but Johnson has slotted in seamlessly, just slotted right in there. He has. Peter Grant says that the £3 million player from Canada has clearly thrown himself into Parkhead life. You know, the way that he attacks the ball, the way that he's just a fantastic player, and a lot of the comments were saying that yesterday. So moving on to Ange Postecoglou and the Everton job. Frank Lampard has finally been sacked. It's like Willie Won't since we played them in Australia, and how long ago was that? Feels like a lifetime ago. Having been sacked by Everton on Tuesday, they were obviously sneaking about Ange Postecoglou some time ago, but it looks like they've obviously spoke to him when they were in Australia, and he's kind of says to them there's absolutely no chance for a believe in Celtic at the moment. So Ange Postecoglou will not be going to Everton. They expect to announce a new manager sooner rather than later, and it won't be our very own Ange. Peter Grant also goes on to say about Ange Postecoglou and the midfield. Now, being a midfield player himself and played with the likes of Murdo McLeod and the great Paul McStay Maestro, you know, trying to get in that team, and they two were in the team, and even the likes of John Collins and everything at the time. Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou has a headache with Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, Real Hatate, Aaron Moy, David Turnbull, Iwasa all competing for just 3 midfield slots in Postecoglou's system. You know, you could actually put that as a midfield in itself and just leave it at wingers. You know, it's just they would be starting players in any team in years gone by, week in, week out. But the fact that we have such a strong midfield, Peter Grant believes that the quality in the middle of the park is what separates Celtic from the rest of the league, domestically anyway. You know, one of the biggest things that Celtic have is that ability to change the middle of the park, and we've never been so strong in a long time with players coming off the bench, as we've spoken about before, Matt O'Reilly is just a young lad. Rio Tati, just fantastic. He just runs and runs and runs. But anyway, we go on to the lone boy Liam Scales, who found himself and Aberdeen basically getting their totties by a club that I'd never even heard of. I never even knew the game was on last night, despite the sides, the league positions. Jim Goodwin, he should have stood down before he actually got on the bus last night. Surely a tiny Ayrshire ground in Aberdeen get their totties. That is bigger. I mean, I'm going to have to look at the media today to see if there's the outcry that there was when Celtic got beat by Inverness Cally Thistle all these years ago. So jumping over at the comment section, we'll go to yesterday's video where it was singled. Obviously, Juranovic was out, and we're waiting all day yesterday. Even Pablo Escobar was in on the case, hanging about, waiting for Celtic to announce. And there was a few good comments about that on the community tab. So always check out the community tab because it is where the shits and giggles are. So Deep Dragon says Moy has been excellent post World Cup. He's a role model for any young lads. He is that. He's extremely humble in his post-match chats and his silence and doubters. It's one of the things that if you're a young guy in your 20s and you think you're not going to make it, just keep on working away. And as Aaron Moy has shown, at the grand old age of 32, you can still make it in your 30s and you can get to the top of whatever it is you're trying to do. And even when you're in your 30s, lads, if you've not made it, don't worry about it. You've got plenty of time. You've got plenty of time to still do things in life. So hang in there. Kevin Carrick says Moy has been a standout in recent times. A good penalty taker and a good role model as well, says Kevin. Martin Weir says, I'm sure that I wish all the success to JJ in the future, but going from 60,000 to 20,000 is going to feel like going from a top club to playing in a kid's back garden, says Martin. Black Star says Moy is one of the tidiest midfielders at the moment, tidy, clinical in possession, and he also brings them with him. He brings a bang with him, which has been a brilliant signing. Johnny Boy says, I remember when Moy signed, it was quite a few people ripped piss at him, saying labelled a move as a non-starter, and he also thought he would be a non-starter and a bench warmer. It's true, everybody thought that Moy was going to be that, and he's thrown himself in there to be one of the sort of players that you're thinking he has to start a game, and people actually say that now. So people don't understand how good he is. He's easily one of the best midfield players in Scotland. And Gara6283 says he looks like a handy player. He does look a handy player, the footage that I've seen, but you always pick out the good bits of the footage. There was somebody saying yesterday that the goal scoring record that he has isn't as good as our very own Greek, but time will tell. Phil went on to say triple 2.5 million buy price after 18 months, another 2.5 million if he hits the add-on clauses. He's 27, not convinced he was better than Ralston or Johnston going forward or defending. That's one thing you have to remember, that Ralston is a young player, and Ralston will always be remembered for me for the player that won us the league last season. That goal up in Ross County, that last minute goal going into extra time, for him to score that, and he knows what it felt like. He knows what as a Celtic fan, he knows how important that goal was, and that's something that for me Juranovic didn't do enough. Juranovic was a good penalty taker, but getting back and defending and having that grit that Ralston has, having that because he knows how much it means to the club. I think Juranovic was always going to be a journeyman, which he has been throughout the years. Copy Traders Club say looking forward to the song ideas for that would be good. And then there was a couple of God go oh really, and Jesus, that would do it. Can't go on anymore. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that video today. Yeah, it is a bit cloudy here today. Thanks for all the comments yesterday, and get all the comments up today again. If you see the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I shall see you on the next video.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to